Welcome back to the Career Conversations podcast, or if this is your first time, welcome. Thanks for listening. My name is Alex Pepper, and I'm brought to you by the Career and Professional Development Center at California University of Pennsylvania. If you want to check out our services, follow us at CalU Careers on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, or visit our website at www.calu.edu/careers. Today I'm speaking with Kembia Munsanje, a derivatives associate in investment banking and a CalU grad. I really enjoyed our conversation. We talked about what it means to find your stride. We talked about his journey. We talked about what it means to be the first person like you in a room. There is so much that you can take from Kembia and his wisdom, so I hope you enjoy this career conversation. Hey, Kembia, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me. Before we kind of really dive in, can you just do me a favor and introduce yourself and talk about what your job is?
Yeah, of course. And thank you for having me. My name is Kembia Munsanje. I'm a graduate of California University of Pennsylvania from 2015. And I currently work as a derivatives associate. I'm within the banking industry, which is specific to investment banking, working on a derivative trading desk.
If you could, talk to me like I'm a fifth grader who knows nothing about investment banking or numbers or what a derivative is. If you could just take me in through that and explain it a little bit layman's for me, that would be great.
Yeah, of course. So I work on a derivative trading desk. And if I was going to explain to you what my day-to-day responsibilities were, I would tell you to think of it like insurance. So we are actually hedging risks to swap out our position with another corporate bank or another investment bank. So essentially, if you remember the 2008 financial crisis, one of my first jobs out of college was working for a credit derivatives trading desk. And essentially, the way that worked is a bank could come to us and say, hey, we want protection against the risk that we have given all of these loans to different Americans within the housing industry. However, the $1 billion worth of loans that we have given out, we don't want anyone to default on those loans. And if they do, we would like to protect our interests by covering that risk. So essentially what those banks do, being a commercial bank, they come to an investment bank and they say, hey, I'd like to buy protection against that risk. Us as an investment bank, we say, sure, no problem. You give me a certain amount of money every month, and I will swap out that risk by giving you protection against the principal loan, which is the $1 billion.
Okay. So thanks. That's a great description. That made a lot of sense to me. Hopefully people listening, that makes sense to them. And so where I want to go from there is if you could kind of take me through your journey of how you got to where you are now, what made you want to get into this field of work? What kind of crucial moments in your life led you to this point?
Yeah, of course. So I think what led me to this point is definitely people who are pushing me. I'm always going to resort to my parents, teachers, and all of those people that I met along the way who helped me to become who I am today. But where it really started for me, at least leading me to this journey, I think was at CalU specifically, because it was at CalU that I was told by my grandfather that I needed to find my niche in college. And so this was a burning question for me to really even understand what a niche was. I had no idea what a niche was, a niche, any way that you want to say it. I was leading myself towards that question being answered for me. And specifically, during different activities at Cal, serving as student trustee, working on the SAI board of directors, I was led to where I am now through the Career Development Center. And that's with a host of people, who can all receive recognition, but you're going to know them one by one. And it doesn't matter who you walk through the door and go to see there. They're going to be extremely helpful to this side of your career. So for me, it was really just making sure that I paid attention to the opportunities that were in front of me. And when I was given those opportunities, I really wanted to make a name for the school that I was representing. And one of the first events that I was selected for was a Morgan Stanley Early Insights program, which recruited the top 50 students from universities across the country. And for myself, I was very proud to represent Cal U at that event. And I really feel like that's what led me to where I am today, because that event alone, it just opened up every single door. So I'm grateful for having had the opportunity to go to college where I did.
So I like your grandfather talked about finding your niche. What was your or niche? Um, what was your mode of operation for doing that? Did you kind of was it trial and error? Was it try everything? Was it do a lot of research and really find one thing you wanted to go after and pursue that with a isolated focus?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So for me, I think that was probably being strategic and intentional about the things that I wanted to do and figuring out those things early. So, I'm not going to say that it's complacent if you don't know what you want to do, but I think that it may feel stagnant for a period of time. So, you're best to resort to finding things that you like along the lines of your interests. And for me, that niche question was actually probably answered best when I felt that I was finding my stride. And I credit CalU a lot with that success because, I think it was innately in me to just be who I am, but I was surrounded by the right people who helped me excel with the opportunities that I was given. And I found my stride, walking right beside those people where I've been able to achieve success today the way that I would define it. So definitely can't thank them enough.
Can you think of that moment going back in your head, hopping in a time machine? The moment when you realized what you wanted to do with the rest of your life? Do you remember that moment?
I mean, I don't know, I can say it like that, but I do know I have this one picture that is one of my favorite pictures of all time from my college career. And that's being at the State House of Representatives in Harrisburg. And we'd gone down there for a coalition event, one of the clubs on campus that I had participated with. And there was a turnstile door. And I remember on the other side of that door, there are people who are taking pictures for us. There's a photo where, I can see my full stride is coming out. There's a beaming smile on my face. And I was pushing that door wide open, a full open hand to make my way through that door and seeing everybody that was on the other side. To me, what made me happy about those times and knowing who I expected to become or who I was striving to be was seeing myself in a suit, seeing myself in a tie, having a nice pair of slacks on, and having a pair of shoes. And it was in that moment, I think before I had, made it to the JP Morgan Launching Leaders event or events at Goldman Sachs, like a diversity symposium, because I found my stride before I was actually in the room. And that was really important for me because that's what allowed me to walk, with those people from the top schools in the country, private universities, and just know that I was supposed to be in this room. And finding that stride is really what put me in terms of having the confidence to know that I could come out of college and do the work, because that felt like the biggest fear was, that you're extremely capable, where your aptitude is, but from university to going into the real world, one of the things I was asking myself is, can I do this work? And I think that that was the next piece of linking the two back, because I have written, the 36-page papers. I have done the hard work, but I was never tested in a way where in real time, what I do has an immediate impact within the next second. And I think that's what derivative trading really taught me, is that, meticulous attention to detail, just as review of information, is not going to be enough. It's actually, am I processing a thorough understanding of what I'm looking at? And so, speaking to the audience, I think that opportunity comes before your eyes every single day. When you step outside, when you wake up, you're going to have to read into situations. And if you're always aware of the room that you're in and you are capable to know who you are, you'll be able to walk in stride to really find out where you're going. Because when you arrive there, each person in the room should know that you were supposed to be here. And I think that's one of the greatest feelings.
And I mean, I think what you're talking about, to me, it sounds like the moment where confidence and competence intersect. You've done the work, you've gathered the skills necessary for a moment, but you also believe in yourself in that moment that you belong there. Um, I want to kind of like rewind, because I think you're talking about something that's really important that I remember when I was in college, I struggled with. It was like, I liked a lot of things. I had a lot of interests. I had a lot of quote unquote hobbies, but I wasn't sure what it was that I wanted to do with the rest of my life, in a way of like, how do you know when that thing that you're pursuing is your career? For you, like, and for you, what did that feel like when you were like, I am doing this, I am in this room, and this is what I want to keep doing. I want to keep being in these rooms, in these situations. What did that feel like for you? And how did you know that was it?
Yeah, lucky enough, I actually, when I got my offer, so I had the opportunity, thankfully, to have a few offers when I was coming out of college. And the offer that I selected, the firm that I went to work for, they had actually just taken my skill set and placed me on a team within the firm. And so, because I had a statistics background with a focus in political science and economics, they felt that that would be best served within the derivative space. Um, I think that it was a steep learning curve, but I really felt that I had found my niche and knew that I was in the right space. And this was something that, I could do for the rest of my life when I was working within the credit derivatives desk, because I had started on an FX trading desk. In FX trading, I found that, okay, this is to the aptitude of how I'm able to learn. But I saw in credit derivatives, it really worked my mind out of questions that I didn't understand. And I had to dive into, wanting to have more depth in my work life, and finding myself in the office, later nights, earlier mornings, and on the weekends. And that really made me hungry to just seek more knowledge and put myself in the room with people who were very skilled at what we were doing, because I wanted to become an expert in that field.
And I think that's touching on something that's really important, is in every field, and it's a decision, it's a personal decision for everyone. What are you willing to do to move to get further in that field? For you, it was the late nights, it was diving deeper, it was more work on your own. um, and I think it's important for people to find something that they want to do where they're willing to put that work in. Like for me, that's how I always knew I was on the right track, was, am I willing to do that work, stay late, work extra hours, work harder than anybody else? Because there have been jobs in my history, in my past, where I wasn't willing to do that. And I think that was kind of a sign that maybe I wasn't in the right place. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you bring that up, because it actually is a countenance for me. I think that that's important, right? Because you are going to encounter some things where, people are going to tell you otherwise. I once found an opportunity that I was told, hey, you need to stick with this opportunity. It's a great given opportunity. And my focus felt like, okay, I'm going to strive to be the best that I can. But I found within 3 months, this is not what I want to do. This is not what they told me that it was going to be. But I also had to have the confidence to speak up for myself to say that, okay, I can shift to put myself in the best position for my own success. And for me, I think that that means managing my career to the best of my ability, not just sitting in my seat and holding my head down because I'm poured a cup of water and I'm no longer parched, right? It's to have a hunger to keep thirsty for what is really driving you. And like you said, when you find that opportunity, it's not going to feel like work. It can only become mundane when your skill set has come to a place where you feel so strongly that everyone within your space or your group can agree that, hey, yeah, it's now time for you to move on to a better opportunity. But you can also have the countenance to receive their well wishes for you and then pass each other along. And to me, that's what it really means to build a career, especially as millennials, is to say like, hey, I may not be in the same seat forever, but while I am, let me do the work well. And that's the reputation that's going to precede you when you get on a call like this or when you walk into the next room where you've been invited.
Definitely. And I'm just curious if, because I think you're dropping so many important um, ideas, concepts, seeds for thought. Is there a piece of knowledge that you kind of learned from a teacher or a mentor? I know you mentioned your grandfather and finding your niche, but is there someone else along your journey who gave you a nugget of information or knowledge that you kind of still think about when you're sitting at your desk today?
Yeah, and I think that that's two pronged for me. And the reason I say that is because there's so many caveats or facets that can answer this question. If I'm to speak to a particular person, I think that I would speak to my father, and I think I would speak to one of my high school teachers, a math teacher. But when I'm talking about simple specificity, I think I would speak to my mentor. And for me, this is a life mentor that I've carried since the age of 9 years old. And one burning imposition that he had always placed on me is that he said, Kembia, don't change who you are. He wrote me a card every year on my birthday, and he reminded me to just remain a good and humble person that he thought I was in that time. And one of the things that you spoke to a little bit earlier was, the idea of what it is that you're willing to do or what it is that you're willing to put in for what you want. So a part of that is ethics within your professional career and the attitude that you're going to carry to the workforce, because ethics will speak a lot to your character. And it was that high school math teacher, a Mr. Nestle, who told me that he saw character in me. Character was something that I wanted to carry myself with every single day. So whether you're no longer a student of Cal U or you are no longer an employee of a place where you previously worked, what character did you have when you were there? And what is the expectations that that character carries with you throughout your career when people have an expectation of what they're going to get from you or who they expect to see. But why I speak on my father is because, I once thought of finding an opportunity that I thought was more easily going to lead me toward achieving my goal for what I did not know if my university could do, which was Cal U at the time. And this was a big test for me because I thought I needed to go to one of the top 10 schools to make what I wanted possible happen. And I remember my father telling me, Kembia, it's not more so, what the university can do for you, but it's what you can do for your university and then create opportunities for others. And that really spoke to me because I took it upon myself as a challenge to say, okay, this is a part of some of the adversity that is in front of me, but this is truly a dream for me. At that time in my life, it was a dream to go ahead and work for Goldman Sachs. It was a dream to break into the banking industry. When I was hired, or when I had first applied, I remember California University was on the others tab. And it was the most exciting fact to me when I was hired that when I looked at that Rolodex the next time, I found California University as one of the schools that somebody could select. And I think that was the biggest testament to finding, what it was that a teacher did for me, what it is that my grandfather had asked of me, and what my father told me, because tying all those things together was really the culmination of seeing ourselves at commencement and knowing that our lives were just about to start. But how did I get here? It didn't happen alone. And when I was on the other side of that opportunity, I was most proud for the moment that I could look back, that I really took what they said seriously, and I applied that, because if I don't apply the skills that I have, then it doesn't mean anything.
And one thing, I don't know if you're conscious of it, but it's something I've talked to a lot of friends who work in the entertainment industry, whether they're actors, musicians, is they'll say, I've never seen anybody like me make it. Um, and I said, well, there has to be a first person to do everything. And it's like my one friend had twins, and he was like, I've never acted in anything. I'm 36 and I have twins. I don't see anybody in Hollywood like me getting jobs. And I said, great. Well, then you have to be that person for somebody else. And I feel like that image comes up for me when you talk about moving CalU to the tab for your internship. That's you had to be that first person to pave the way for other people.
Yeah, and that was a special thing, because I also knew that I had the objective to go into this role, when I was a full-time hire, and really make it so that I'm taking it seriously enough that this opportunity can be created for the next individual who's going to come through the pipeline that CalU offers. But I think, one of the points that you made is very poignant with me, because a close friend of mine, he had once told me, and we were working in the Entrepreneurial Leadership Center at CalU. Um, and he had once told me that I told him that, we want to become subject matter experts in our field. And the conversation dived into, but I don't see any Black CEOs. And I told him in that moment, to me, a lot of these times, these can be smiling moments, because they're not just teachable, they're indelible, that it is that you will be the first, right? There's no question for us to have the belief in what you're capable of, because I already know you. And so a lot of times, whether you're a student or whether you're a graduate or you're somebody who's a professional, I tell my friends, hey, don't stress, because if I know you, you're going to get it done. Anybody who has waited to the last minute to write that 5-page paper, they got it done. So first, believe in yourself, but make sure that you organize your success so you don't have to go through the courtesy of creating anxiety that doesn't need to be there. Um, to speak back to that point was to tell him that if you don't see any, you're going to be the first. That friend is extremely successful, and he's also a CalU graduate. If I'm to say it correctly, he's well on his way to becoming that chief executive, but he's an officer of his own life, because he's curating what it is that he wants to see. And so I think if we all remember that, there's going to be firsts that you have on your own, which are many strides that are leaping, but even those short steps, are going to be kept in memory for the person who is watching you.
Mm-hmm. I like that anecdote you just gave us. And honestly, I think it's the perfect moment for us to segue into our big three. I just wanted to leave it there because I think it's just so powerful.
Perfect.
Um, so this is the big three. It's three questions that I ask you to answer in 3 sentences or less. If you don't do it, nothing bad happens. There's no trap door beneath your feet that that you fall out. Um, so the first one is, what's the worst part of your job right now?
What is the worst part of my job right now? Being solid now. And I say that because it's when you create a comfortability for yourself. Because you think that everything is great. You have the apartment, you have the house, you have the car, you have the significant, and you think that everything is solid now. But in a turn of events, everything could change tomorrow. And so what are you going to do? How have you prepared yourself for things to be not what they were? And when you singularly think that being solid now is what's going to lead you towards that next step, you will quickly realize that it's not enough. And I say that because, competition is a humbling thing, but you're all striving for greatness towards a common goal. And so I think if you're appreciative of the fact that you have a support network, you have resources, you have opportunities, you have a skill set, and you want to have continuous growth, then you'll never let up on thinking that being solid now is the only thing you need to do.
Amazing. And the second question is, what do you know now that you'd wished you'd known then? And you can interpret that however you want.
Managing my money.
That's a good one.
Um, I say that as something that I mean, even my voice has changed on this statement because I say that just being so happy about knowing what it is to have been in a position of a college student and now being somebody who, has almost 7 years worth of work experience because I would shudder at the fact that if I was speaking to, my younger self, that I could think that I was working within the same space for 7 years. You sometimes don't even realize that that's possible. But that's a part of what the niche is because you're building a career to create a subject matter expertise that you are able to speak to from what the knowledge is that you've derived throughout that period of time. And managing my money means to me that, as college students, as young professionals, we sometimes take it in stride that, hey, we're receiving an income, and from that income, we have money to spend and we have money to save. One of the first things that I would definitely detail to anybody who is graduating, has a job opportunity, has any resource of income that they're going to have to put away is to look at a 401k plan that a company is providing, a self-directed 401k that is a Roth IRA. I would look at personal and tax brokerage funds that they can put their money into so that 5 years later, when you think about buying a house, those funds may have built up a down payment for you. And generally, just seeing yourself towards really having the understanding of financial management to take care of your problems when you have a rainy day or when you'd like to take a vacation. Don't go into a fund for your paycheck. Just have a paycheck being split up and where it can send money to a vacation account. And 6 months later, when you decide to take that vacation, you can pull out the funds from that account and quickly pay for it, but keep everything in stride for what else is going on. And that would be the biggest thing for me because college really created a place of comfort for me as it was a maturation process. And as I continue that growth and wanting to learn, you don't want finances being a problem, being one thing in your way.
Yeah, I like that's super important. That's something that's not always talked about when we think about careers is the benefits package. So I appreciate that insight. And then finally, what is your definition of success?
I'm glad you asked this. What is my definition of success? I think my definition of success is my worldview, and how I would define that is, seeping into the ideas that other people have just in conversating with people who don't look like you, conversating with people who don't think like you, and going to different places in the world so you're able to accept cultures that are not your own. Um, the way I would define success for myself is just being a good person, and keeping that warmth within you so it doesn't die inside because of everything that's happening on the exterior, because we deal with a lot of tough problems, we deal with a lot of tough situations, but if you understand that no one's going to have your back but you, and you can sleep, a soundless night, being able to wake up and knowing that you have the intervention of divine, you have that support network, you have a phone that you can pick up and call. And if you're a Cal U student, I mean, you can add me on LinkedIn, you can call me directly, and I'll answer these questions just the same like I'm doing here with Alex. But yeah, that's really the biggest thing. Just don't change who you are for tomorrow. Make yourself better for that situation. And that's what I'd really leave it with.
Amazing. That's a perfect note to end on. Kembia, I really appreciate your time talking to me, and I'm sure everyone listening appreciates your time and your insight. I will definitely put your LinkedIn in the show notes in the description below. Is there anything else you want to shout out before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, rep your university, tell them who we are. When you make it to those big rooms, don't forget who made you, because I think when you come to the table, right, somebody's gonna introduce you and they're gonna say, hey, this is Kembia Munsanje, this is Alexander Pepper, this is whomever. So you stand behind that name. But if you don't forget, or if you forget the people that helped you get there, then I think you are running into incredible problems, because we also need to ingratiate ourselves with those who have had success. And when you are looking to emulate that person, somebody else helped them achieve it. It wasn't them alone. And that's something that I feel like I clearly understand. And it's the reason that I keep seeking knowledge. I keep seeking mentors. I keep seeking people who are going to help me get to that next stratosphere. Um, and if I stay with the conviction where I can say, hey, I need you in order to be a success, then I will know right now what I have done, I'm appreciative of. But there is more to strive for. And I think that's how, we can truly give back to our peers and to the university, is just by doing well and wanting to see others do well, but not speaking of it orally, actually taking action to make sure that their success can also be derived. So if I find an opportunity that's befitting of you, I can make the phone call knowing that someone in my network would appreciate having your expertise around, and you could guide them to a path of success that they're also trying to reach.
Well, I can definitely tell from just talking to you this brief period that you represent Cal U well. I'm sure everyone at the university is proud of you, and we definitely appreciate your continued support.
Of course, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Take care, Alex.